so my name's Connor Ross. I'm from originally all over the US, but lived here in New Paltz for about 2 years. When we first moved here, we heard about TZ from our neighbors because we have a Tesla, and so we needed a charger. And when we started looking around, we talked to a couple people, and he was the only one that honestly actually kind of knew what he was doing with them, but wasn't charging a ridiculous amount based off of like the novelty of it. So it was, yeah, we ended up going with him, and then for a number of other stuff. We've worked with him for about, I guess, 2 years, and it's been really good. When we first got in contact with him, I think he was a pretty small shop, and it was just talking with him, and he really was very nice, easy to get quotes from. He came out, talked through stuff. With our latest job, it's been really easy working with, everyone in the company. We thought it might be a little bit different now that he's not always the one coming out, but everyone that he works with and is on his team has been super, super nice. My wife and I have been very happy when they came out, honestly. Like, they teach us about stuff, about everything going on with what they're doing, or maybe some other projects that we had questions about, but they advised us to whether or not we should do them now or later. We originally, when we moved into the house, it only had a 100 amp breaker on it. And given the fact that we have split units that we wanted to install, because it was an old boiler house with no AC, so we wanted the government refund and all that other stuff. So we upgraded the box from 100 to 200. At the same time, we had a Tesla charger installed. And then we had a 50 amp run to the back of the house because we have 2 split units on the other side of the house. And then he also installed a couple of extra outlets since we had no power on that far side of the house. So that was good because we were able to, now I can plug in things over there. So that was actually, we didn't ask for that, and he did that automatically. He was like, I'm sure you're gonna need outlets over here. And I was like, obviously I did not think about that, and thank you. And we've used them all the time, so that was really nice. So when we decided to get bidets in the bathrooms, we called, and I didn't even ask for a quote. I was just like, come out, whatever it is, you'll do a good job, I'm sure, and know the price is gonna be fair, because when we were doing the split unit stuff, we talked to a number of different individuals, and even though the run for the Tesla charger, which is like a really big cable because it's a 60 amp, was like 2 feet because it literally was just through the wall, we had some people wanting to charge us for 50 feet of cable. And they're like, well, that's just the package. And I go, yeah, I don't have 50 feet. I'm not paying for 50 feet of cable. And I didn't have to deal with any of that with him or any of the other aspects that we dealt with. Like, it was just very easy. And so now whenever we have electrical stuff, we just reach right out to them, and they're like, oh, do you want an estimate? And I'm like, no, I want it done. I'm not going to compare you with anyone else because I know, like, again, I did that work before. I know you're going to be good. So we had a number of things. One, when we first moved into the house, the couple that lived here before actually had a list of all the people that they'd used. TZA was actually on that list, but we also asked around to the neighbors, and pretty much everyone on the street uses him. And then when we worked with the company that we did the split units, they also recommended him as their electrician. So kind of hard to beat no one saying anything other than them. There's a number of other, as I said, people around, and it was just easy to kind of take their advice after getting the numbers that he gave. The first install, it was Tyler and 2 other journeymen that were here. They were, super respectful and nice while they were working around the property. We always offer everyone to use the bathroom or whatever, but they still asked before they came in. They were very good. We have a dog. They were very good with the dog, very happy, to have him around, didn't really care too much. And then on the second time, it was just some of his other coworkers that he has on his team, and they were absolutely amazing. We had a couple of extra things that we wanted to get done that we didn't think about until they were here. And they talked us through them. They talked through what we had the opportunity to do while they're here, and other ones, like we're thinking about getting our stove replaced. And he was like, I don't have the cable in the car, so we can always come back out for that at a later time. And then we have an island that doesn't have any power in it. So we talked to the gentleman about installing power in that one, and he did like a bunch of looking into the walls, but like making like really small cuts in places that you wouldn't see, which was very nice because we didn't, it's like, sometimes, you see things on the internet where they're like, oh yeah, we're thinking about doing stuff, and then you just see these like lines of drywall missing everywhere. So I was a little anxious to like ask questions, and he was like, no, I can look at it. And they just did like these little holes, and we still haven't had that work done because they said that they couldn't do it that day because they had another job to go through. But they're all in really small spots. You don't see them. Very informative. Know exactly what we want to get done when they come back. So. This is our second house, and we've worked with a number of different electricians at the other house. And then this one, in terms of the, explaining how much everything is going to cost, it was pretty straightforward. As I said, we also compared, when the first time we had him, we compared his rates against some of the other individuals, and the other groups like tried to do packages of like, oh, well, we do this all the time, here's how much it's going to cost. Where if your thing doesn't line up exactly what that is, just didn't make sense. Where Tyler figured out what you actually wanted to get done, and then gave you a breakdown of all the materials and understanding that like, hey, if we use a little bit more of this one, here's how much it's gonna cost, here's how many people I'm gonna have over, and like the hourly rate for that. So it just made it like really clear and pretty good estimates in terms of how long things would take. And if it did take them longer than they expected, they didn't, say like, oh, it took us an extra hour, so we're going to charge you an extra hour for work. It was like, no, this was kind of, we took a longer break or something like that. Like, and if they did, if it was going to cost more because they found something like we mentioned the thing, they were very clear about the extra cost before they went through and explained why and that. So it was very easy and understandable. Yes. The only thing is they're getting more popular, so it's a little bit harder to get an appointment these days. But that's a good thing. And when they come in, it was very quick. They did new outlets in 4 different rooms, and it was done in like an hour and a half, 2 hours. And most of that honestly was just them figuring out how they were going to do it. And then once they figured it out, they went through the plan, and then they executed it pretty much in like 30 minutes to 45 minutes, and very quick, very happy. Each person that we had, whether from the original time when we worked with Tyler 2 years ago to now, the main person who is communicating with us, like about, whether it's the budget or what their plan is, they're super down to earth in how they explain it, like in a way that's very easy and understandable. And you kind of feel like you know what to expect. And I've worked with other electricians where they're like, yeah, we're just gonna do this, and then they kind of disappear for an hour or 2 hours, and they come back and they're done and they just kind of leave. Which, maybe that's kind of what you want, but I kind of like to know what they're going to do and how it's gonna affect certain things. And so their ability to actually explain what they're going to do, and then makes me just feel much more comfortable about, working with them in the long run. And very easy to communicate. They use text message, which is nice, but it seems like it's connected to like more than just one person. It's connected to the team, so it's nice to not have to have like multiple numbers. You just text one number and not also have to look at your email. So it's live when they're coming over and things of that nature, so which is nice. I would say the biggest challenge that we had was as I mentioned, the island doesn't have like power in it, and doesn't really have a super lot of space like inside of it to like run things up, and it's right above where our garage is. And it took a lot of ingenuity to kind of figure out like what was even possible, but also doing it in a way where it's like, we might not be able to do this today, so I'm not gonna like put a bunch of things, holes in the wall or something like that to figure that out. And that was the only thing that kind of like we wanted to get done, but we just didn't have time to do. or we didn't quite figure out how to do it in a way. But they explained what they could do, and just given like where the place was in the house, it just didn't make sense to do until like kind of thought about long term what we wanted. I would definitely recommend TZ. I mean, I already have. So, but I still always say to everybody, you know, like figure out what works for you. But I have everyone who's moved into the neighborhood, or any of my friends that we've met around, I've definitely recommended TZ as a choice. No, it was great to have them over. We're definitely gonna. I mean, I already have a list of things that I gonna work with them on. So it's good to have a good team, and I hope they continue to bring up electricians that are, you know, as good and well-mannered as they are. Bye, thank you.